What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to D+Pad Life. And today I got to talk to you about that most recent Resident Evil 9 Requiem trailer. Now, if any of you have kept up with the channel and saw my last video regarding Resident Evil 9 where I said I have no hype for Resident Evil 9, there's a few things to look at here, right? It's like, okay, has my hype level changed since the most recent trailer? And, just what are my thoughts about what they showed? Well, I'll say this. Do I have some hype now? Sure. Because we actually saw some decent gameplay. Now, I'm not a big fan of Resident Evil 7. I'm not a real fan of the direction it took the series in. I do think, I guess if I had to say, do I prefer its direction over like Resident Evil 6's direction? Sure. I guess I would say I do prefer 7's approach. I don't really like first-person games that much, so that like docked it at some points. And I didn't really like how strange it got, just with the family being these twisted monsters. Yet they have their faculties about them to a bit. They can talk. They still maintain these like personalities. They're not just monsters. The telepathy stuff was a bit far-fetched for me. That was the phrase I was looking for. It was far-fetched. This idea that she's not a ghost little girl. It's just the mold's infected your brain, and that's how she's making it seem like she's kind of like a ghost. I don't know. This idea that they're trying to work it in a way where, science causes these paranormal effects. To me, it's like if you want to make a paranormal themed horror game, just make a new series. Don't drag Resident Evil around like that. That's my personal perspective. Have a paranormal series where you can do stuff like 7 and 8, and then let Resident Evil remain Resident Evil. So what I'm seeing from the latest trailer is it looks like we're getting a pretty decent blend of Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7. Now, what's kind of interesting to me about this is Resident Evil 7 is seen by most of the fan base as a revival for the franchise. Like, not just a revival, I guess. It's more like Resident Evil 7 took us back to the roots of the series. They felt like it was a return to form. So it's kind of strange that we're only 2 games removed from this as far as like the numerical titles, and we're already kind of going back to what 7 did. I mean, I suppose that, we haven't seen enough to make such a declarative statement, but to me, it really looks more 7 inspired than 8 inspired. I forget her name already, but the female main character, it's not Ashley. No, that's the president's daughter from here. What is her name? Anyways, it doesn't matter. She's, not really well equipped for what she's going through. And in 7, Ethan wasn't either. He was just a normal, average guy. And they're taking that approach again, which is fine. But, you're running from a stalker creature. We've seen this before. And it's just interesting for us to be circling back around to like 7 mechanically already. It just feels like, okay, so if we're already kind of backtracking, then what's that mean for Resident Evil 10? Like, that's something I'm kind of interested in. Again, a little too early to kind of theorize these things, but that came up for me like, man, what are we really setting ourselves up for Resident Evil 10? I will say I was pleased. I mentioned in my last video about this topic that, there was a hint that we'd have a returning character, and I didn't want to spoil it in case people weren't aware, but yeah, that character was Leon. It had gotten leaked, or at least was in the rumor mill that Leon was probably coming back. And for me personally, I'd much rather see some other characters get some love in the series that have been ignored for a while. I like Leon. Leon's great. I feel like he's gotten a lot of representation in the franchise, especially if you include the CG movies. He's got the most exposure. It's like Chris, then Leon. But if you think about it, Leon's been in Resident Evil 2, 4, and 6. Chris was in 1, Code Veronica, 5, and 6, and 8. So Chris has definitely been around a lot. But, it would have been nice to maybe see Jill, maybe Barry, maybe Rebecca. Rebecca would have been really cool. Hell, even like Carlos or Sheva would have been really nice. Sheva, I can kind of understand not being there. I mean, she does live in Africa, so unless she works for an organization that gets her globetrotting, it kind of makes sense why we don't see her. But I still love your character. In any case, checking out this most recent trailer, I do feel like my biggest gripes about the franchise as a whole are going to sustain themselves. I do think I'm right on that. I actually put in the thumbnail. It said, I'm sure all of this is going to lead to nothing. I still feel that way. This whole idea that this villain, Dr. Victor Gideon, has ties to Umbrella and he's been expecting Leon and all of that. I mean, Umbrella's done for. Why are we talking about Umbrella? They've been gone since this game. So we had we had Revelations 1, 5, Revelations 2, 6, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8. You know, we're very far removed from Umbrella. So who cares if the guy has ties to Umbrella? And then he's talking to the girl, again, I forget her name off the top of my head right now, but he's like, you'll help me fully realize Elpis or something. So some type of new virus, I'm sure. Some type of new experiment or something along those lines. Maybe it's that headset he's wearing. But this idea that it just seems like they're starting a new story arc that I suspect is not going to go anywhere. Are we going to hear anything about the mold? Is that just over and done with? I know in 8, they kind of made it seem like it was, but they also kind of left it open. I mean, where's Blue Umbrella? Whatever happened to Tricell? Did we ever get an answer about that? I called it Neo Umbrella in the last video because I just misremembered. But yeah, Tricell, you know, it just feels like, again, they're just starting a whole new storyline, a whole new plot point that I'm sure is going to go nowhere. So I'm not really excited about that. What was cool was seeing Leon and his gameplay. His gameplay looks like a lot of fun. They obviously took a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil 4, the remake. Resident Evil 4's remake, man, it got a lot of love from fans, as it should have, because I mean, it's great. To me, this is one of the best Resident Evil games ever made. This particular version is just, it's truly incredible. It's really, really well made. I think I prefer it over the original, just because it does more of what I'm looking for from a Resident Evil game. But and I don't say that lightheartedly. The original's great, but it's pretty goofy. It's pretty campy. I mean, I don't necessarily hate that, but I prefer this grittier, darker, spookier approach, personally. But yeah, you know, and then there's all this talk that you're going back to Raccoon City, but I have a feeling that's only going to be a segment of the game, maybe even a short segment, or maybe at the very least, some of the earlier stages are going to take place someplace else, and then eventually you'll end up in Raccoon City. I just don't think the entire game is going to take place in Raccoon City. It doesn't seem like it's building up for that, not in this trailer. It was cool to see like an older Leon. That was a lot of fun. His gameplay, I mean, it looked excellent. It really looked like a lot of fun, but I got a feeling you're going to play as like a younger Leon, and then we're going to jump timelines and you'll play as older Leon. Something tells me that girl may not actually be the main character. This might be Leon's game. And I know there's a lot of people theorizing that it could be Leon's last game, like maybe he's going to die. Who knows? I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. I think that there's plenty of other characters that we maybe could have seen died. I thought it might have been more effective for like Chris to have died in Resident Evil 8, maybe some sort of sacrifice for his sins, so to speak. I mean, he's a little bit of a mess, that guy, but we all love him. Ultimately, I don't have a ton to say. I mean, it's not like my hype is now through the roof all of a sudden, like, oh my God, I can't wait for 9. I'm definitely more interested. I don't feel so convinced that it's like, I need to buy this game on day one. Like, that's not going through my mind. It's not like, oh man, I got to go pre-order this game right now. I got to play it as soon as it comes out. I mean, I know in the last video I said I didn't like make a promise, but I made it very much clear, like, I don't think I'm going to do that. At this point, it's less to do with hype and more to do with finances. My money is tied up into adult stuff right now, like big boy stuff, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that are requiring a large amount of sums, so that is what I'm focused on. But if I had the expendable income, you know, I probably would just get it at day one, because I'm going to want to play it. I love the Resident Evil games. But at the same point, if I don't like the direction the series is heading in, it probably makes the most sense for me to just buy it used. So maybe I'd wait to get a used copy. But either way, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to check in on it other than there's some more hype now, a little bit more. Still not as crazy as I'd like to be, man. It sucks when a new Resident Evil game is announced and coming out, especially a new entry, and I just am like indifferent. When 7 got announced, I was hyped until I started kind of seeing some of the gameplay. Then I was like, okay, that doesn't really look like Resident Evil to me, but I'm sure the game's fun. 8, I thought it looked really stupid from the beginning. And so I got really happy that they geared up on these remakes, because these have really kept the series like relevant in my heart and have kept me active with the series and excited for the series. But Resident Evil 9, no, it hasn't gripped me yet. So we'll see if that changes. Maybe they'll drop some more stuff and give us a good look. But it's getting pretty close. It comes out only a couple months now, so that is exciting. It is exciting to have a new numerical Resident Evil coming out. I am interested to see how it goes and what it plays out to be. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be exactly what I said. It's going to lead to nothing. Even if they kill off Leon. Okay. And what does that really mean in the grand scheme of things? You're just going to create some new virus, some new situation for some new character, and ultimately there's just no real conclusion. It just seems like they don't have an overall plot decided for this thing. It's just about, let's keep making these games because they perform so well, which, I mean, you can't blame them. So with that being said, if you enjoyed hanging out with me today, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing. I upload about 2-3 videos a week, and sometimes even some shorts on top of that. Definitely pumping out content. And if you appreciated this little conversation here, please give the video a like. It really goes a long way. And join the conversation in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the latest trailer. I mean, were you actually surprised to see Leon? Did you think the leaks weren't going to come true? I actually thought the leaks may not be true. I was kind of hopeful they weren't, I guess, more so than thinking they weren't. I just didn't necessarily want a game with another Leon game, but I am curious to hear what you guys thought, to see if your hype has increased at all. Please share in the comments. It's really fun to talk to you guys. But in any case, hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Wishing you well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.